we are not going to be surprised, because we are mature enough, we are smart enough, we are experienced enough. We don't love easy things. We don't love easy things. Class, don't love easy things. Smallanyana things, small nyana definitions, the 7 things of the 7 characteristics of living organisms. No, 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 no. We want the heavy things. So for every topic, we want to quickly focus on the most important things. We master them and whatever. So when you're doing digestion, when you're dealing with digestion, first they may ask you to understand what is the digestive system. Okay, this is not too crazy. This is the functions of the digestive system. To say the digestive system is the one that carries out digestion, and it must be able to do 3 things. It must be able, this is just an introduction, this is background. You should quickly pass this, man. It should be able to break down food. This is mechanical digestion and stuff, and chemical digestion. Then it should be able to absorb and use. Then it should be able to remove waste. Remember that digestion is going to be done whilst food is moving in one tube. Your food is just moving in one tube from the mouth. Let me see if I can take you to the diagram. Your food is moving in one tube. Let me go to the diagram here. Your food is moving in one tube from the mouth here all the way to the anus. Okay, this is when the food comes out. So this is all one tube. It just goes down like this, gets to the stomach, goes to the small intestines here. Then after the small intestines, it comes round to the large intestines. Then from the large intestines, it goes down to the anus. The anus should be here. Okay, sorry, it's a little bit down here. It doesn't matter. But this is what happens. This is what happens. It goes the way to the anus. Food is just moving in one tube. Okay, food is just moving in one tube, which is connected. This is the same tube. Okay, which is connected. So you must understand that. Now, when you're doing that, basically, important things that I need you to know is that the digestive system itself. Okay, here is the definition of digestion, which you must know. Digestion is the breakdown of large insoluble food molecules into small soluble molecules. This is the definition. So everybody should just know definition. It will give you 2 marks. Then you go to the second, the digestive system. So the digestive system is what carries out this digestion, breaking down large insoluble molecules into small soluble molecules. It's done by the digestive system. The digestive system, I want to go to this page. It has total 11 parts that you must know. The digestive system has in total 11 parts. Those 11 parts are broken into 2. So the digestive system is the one that carries out digestion. And the digestive system has 11 parts. 7 parts are what we call the alimentary canal, which is one big tube that starts at the mouth and just goes all the way to the anus. So food is just sliding. It doesn't even get into the blood. Digestion, we are just having this food slide down and all these things. So we are saying the alimentary canal has 7 parts. That one big tube, which starts at the mouth, ends at the anus. And you must know each of the parts, because what is going to be important is you must know who gets digested where. Like, what do we have in the mouth? What goes on in the mouth? What goes on in the esophagus? What goes on in the stomach? What goes on in the small intestines? What goes on in the large intestines? What goes on in the rectum? And what goes on in the anus? That's what we call knowing digestion. Basically, knowing digestion is knowing what goes on at each stage. And when you know what goes on at each stage, you must tell us which enzymes, if there are enzymes that work there, you must tell us which enzymes are working there as well. So there are 7 parts of the one big tube, and we must know what goes on in each part, and we're done with the chapter. So 1 is the mouth, 2 is the gullet or esophagus, 3 is the stomach, 4 is the small intestine, 5 is the large intestine, 6 is the rectum, 7 is the anus. These are all part of one thing, which we call the alimentary canal, the tube where food moves in. Then, sorry, because it's glitching, so I have to do it. Then there are four organs that are part of the digestive system, but they are not part of the alimentary canal. So the digestive system has 11 parts, right? But the alimentary canal, the tube, has 7. So the tube has 7 parts. But there are 4 other parts that are not part of the tube, but they also are important for digestion because they produce enzymes and do other things. These are called accessory organs. So an accessory organ is an organ which takes part in digestion, but food does not pass through it. It's not part of the alimentary canal. No food will pass through it. Salivary gland, no food will pass through it. Liver, no food will pass through the liver. Gallbladder, no food will pass through the gallbladder. Pancreas, no food will pass through the pancreas. They are accessory organs. So for accessory organs, remember we said for the alimentary canal, you must know what happens in it. What happens in the mouth? What gets digested in it? What happens in the esophagus or gullet? The other name for esophagus is the gullet. What is its importance? What does it do? How does it take part in digestion? What goes on in the stomach? But when it comes to accessory organs, it's not what happens inside of it. No. It's what does it produce? What does the pancreas produce? What does the liver produce? What do we have the salivary glands producing? It's what do they produce, because they only produce. And after producing or storing, they then send to the alimentary canal where the enzyme or whatever will start working, because that's where the food is. The food we are digesting is in the alimentary canal. So in the alimentary canal, this is where the things are happening. These accessory organs are producing. So you must know what each of them produce in case you're given. So here, this is a small thing before you do. What you should know is all 7 organs or all 7 parts of the alimentary canal and all 4 accessory organs. And together you should know all 11 parts of the digestive system and what is important about each of them. That's what you must know. That before you know that, you should just know 6 things that happen during digestion. Overall, when we talk about the overall thing, we say digestion is breakdown of large and insoluble pieces into small soluble substances, right? But now when we get to the processes, it has 6 stages. There are 6 things that you should know. One is ingestion, which means taking in of food. Okay, it is part of digestion. Then you have chemical digestion. To be honest, before chemical, you have mechanical digestion, where you have physical breakdown of food. So ingestion, it means you have taken the food into your mouth. Then mechanical digestion, it is when you chew it. Mechanical digestion is not only chewing, but it's chewing and churning. I don't like peristalsis here. For mechanical digestion, I want chewing and I want churning. I don't know how I did that. Sorry for putting it by mistake. So it's chewing and churning. Churning is what the stomach does when it squeezes food. There is no chemical involved. So you have taken food into the mouth. There is going to be mechanical digestion, which means you are going to chew that food. Big pieces of meat, big whatever. You are physically breaking them down. You are not adding any chemical yet. That's called mechanical digestion. Physical breakdown of food into smaller pieces. In mechanical digestion, the food does not become soluble. It still is insoluble. It is just smaller. But when you get to chemical digestion, food is now broken down by enzymes, and it becomes smaller molecules that are now soluble. So the food is now being broken down even further into tiny, tiny, tiny things by enzymes. That is now chemical digestion. Then you go to absorption. These are words you must just know in your sleep. You're already at word number 4. Ingestion is taking of food into the stomach. Mechanical digestion is the physical. Key word there is physical. The moment you say physical, you get it correct. Physical breakdown of food. And when you do that, that is why they want you to know the structure of teeth. What are the different parts of the teeth? It's part of mechanical digestion. It's in this section. So it's part of mechanical digestion. You must know. In mechanical digestion, you are physically breaking down the food. No chemical is involved. Churning happens in the stomach. The stomach will be squeezing the food to make it small. That's physical. There is no chemical there. It doesn't mean chemical digestion won't also happen. But we are saying during physical, we are only talking during mechanical digestion, we are only talking about physical breaking down. Then you go to absorption, which is now food is now going into the blood. The nutrients that are wanted by the body, they are now going into the blood. The moment you say digested nutrients into the bloodstream, okay, and it, of course, you're going to see that it happens only in the small intestine, not really in the large intestine. Nothing really happens there. It's just water in the large. But when you have nutrients going into the blood, it's absorption. Then assimilation is when the cells use the nutrients. All these are 6 processes that happen during digestion. So when you get to assimilation, it now means the cells of the body are using the nutrients that were in the blood. In absorption, it is the nutrients going into the bloodstream from the small intestines. Assimilation is now the cells of the body using the nutrients. Then digestion, right? This is what we talked about last week. Last week we said, don't let anyone tell you that when the body is removing feces, this is not excretion. When you remove feces, it cannot be excretion. Wow. Let me fix this connection. Give me a second. All right. We said when you remove feces, it cannot be excretion because feces do not come from the blood. There is nothing in feces that comes from the blood. Feces is food that the body has refused. It's called digestion. Removal of undigested food from the body via the anus. This is feces. Excretion produces urine. We are removing things from the blood. Those things only go out as urine, not feces. Things from the blood go out as urine. But undigested things, those are the feces, and that is called digestion. That is called digestion. Don't forget that. Anyway, this is what we've already said. Taking food into the mouth, ingestion. Then mechanical digestion happens in the mouth and in the stomach. In the stomach, we said it is churning, and in the mouth, we said it is chewing when your teeth are grinding food. That's the physical breakdown of food. Then we said you then go to chemical digestion, which is now enzymes breaking down in large insoluble food into small soluble food. This is chemical. It is enzymes, number 1, and it breaks large insoluble food molecules, okay, food molecules into small soluble molecules. Say that. Absorption, it is going into the bloodstream, and it happens through villi. You're going to learn about this microvilli, which is in the small intestines. We'll talk about them. They are only found in the small intestines, and they are taking the food into the bloodstream. So it's coming. This is the alimentary canal. This is that tube which food slides in. Alimentary canal. Okay, and particularly the small intestines. Yeah, food is coming through this, and they are going to have the walls we have now here absorbing. When it goes through the small intestines, there will be these type of things. So the food is trying to move, but it will be absorbed into the bloodstream, and now it is in the blood, which is a completely different place. Then the rest of the food will continue and go on to be feces. Then here you have assimilation. We said this is absorption. Assimilation, it is when the cells make use of the things. Then digestion, it is the removal of undigested food from the body. Undigested. All right. Now we're starting digestion. We know what digestion is all about. It is about knowing the parts and what happens in each part. So there's the mouth. What happens? Ingestion. There are three things that happen. So when you should know each place. Remember, we have 11 parts. So we are just going to try and quickly go through those parts and what happens in each. Then you'll be done with digestion. So you must know the first is the mouth. What happens in the mouth? In the mouth, there's going to be ingestion. The food is going to be taken into the body through the mouth. But then there's going to be mechanical and chemical digestion. So I want you to say here, chewing food, I want you to put it as mechanical digestion. So in the mouth, you have mechanical digestion where you are chewing the food. Then you are going to have, I want you to say, instead of mechanical digestion, I want you to say chemical digestion, where you now have enzymes, which is amylase. Okay, food is mixed with saliva and it has amylase. Okay, it has amylase, which breaks down starch. So I want you to say, you can say here, which begins to break down starch. So the process begins here, which begins to break down starch. So there is a little bit of chemical digestion in the stomach, in the mouth, and there is also mechanical digestion. You must know what happens in each place. So we've started with the mouth. There's a bit of chemical and also a bit of mechanical digestion. You should know what goes on in each part. So for the stomach, are we fine? Then when we do for the mouth, then when we do the mouth, these salivary glands are in the mouth, okay? They have amylase and it begins starch digestion. Where is it? In the mouth. So salivary glands in the mouth. They have begun chemical digestion, okay? And what does it do? Of course, it also helps here to make swallowing easier. It helps to make swallowing easier because it makes the food moist, okay? And it forms what we call a bowl of food so that it can slide down. The bowl of food is important when we now talk about peristalsis, which happens in the esophagus. But we start by saying in the mouth, you should know what happens in each of the 11 parts. In the mouth, what goes on in the mouth? Ingestion, number 1. Mechanical digestion, number 2, by the teeth. Chemical digestion, number 3, by saliva. The salivary glands release saliva into the mouth and it begins to break down starch. That's all you should know. Then you go to the esophagus. It's also called the gullet. You go to the gullet or esophagus. This is just a tube. And the importance of this tube is, okay, now you have broken down the food in the stomach, in the mouth, but it needs to continue its journey. How will the food get to the stomach? You have chewed it and broken it down. Now it needs to get to the stomach. So what do? You swallow it. What is to swallow? You are putting it into this next tube, which is called the gullet or esophagus. It is the tube that connects the mouth with the stomach. Its job is to push food from the mouth to the stomach. It pushes the food through a process called peristalsis. Peristalsis means it is going to make itself thin here. The gullet will squeeze at the back of the food and force the food to move down here. The food will be just moving downwards like this. So it will squeeze at the back, right behind the food there. The bolus. This is the bolus. The bolus is important, and it is made by saliva to make it easier for the food to move. Now, that food which you have swallowed, it will be pushed down by peristalsis, which is the contractions of the gullet or esophagus. Wave-like contractions. What is to contract? Is to squeeze. It squeezes at the back of the food, pushing the food down. Then squeezes again. Then squeezes again. So the food will be going little by little, going down, 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 until it gets to the main part, the stomach. So that is the peristalsis. Don't worry about these what is happening, but it's you don't have to describe peristalsis too deep. Then you get to the stomach now. Food is now in the stomach. What goes on? So this is important. You must know what goes on in each of the 11 different parts. In each of the 7. The other 4, you should know what they release. So now we are at the stomach, which is now number 3. What goes on in the stomach? Well, the stomach is going to do, number 1, it is going to kill all the germs in the body. Inside your stomach, you are going to have hydrochloric acid. We'll talk about it. Inside your stomach, you are also going to have protease. Okay? Pepsin. Inside the stomach, you are also going to have churning of food, then storage of food. So there are going to be 4 things going on. There is storage, temporary storage of food. That's going on in the stomach. There is churning of food, which means the food is the physical digestion continues. The teeth did not finish the whole job. Your teeth did not finish the whole job. So the walls of the stomach will squeeze the food and make it smaller. The walls of the stomach will mix food mechanically. By mechanically, it means by squeezing it, by squeezing the food. Then you are going to have protease enzyme, which I want to talk about here. Let me talk about it. Where is it? I want to talk about the protease enzymes here. Okay? Here. Wait. Where is it that I want to say? Give me a second. All right. Here's where a statement which I'll use. Look at this. You see that there's going to be the word trypsin as a protease enzyme. Now, when you come to the stomach, I should go back to the stomach here. Okay. Pepsin, which is a protease enzyme. There's a part where I explained it deep down in the notes, you see, where I explained the word protease. Enzymes end with ACE. So we have the enzyme called amylase. Then we have the enzyme called lipase. Then we have the enzyme called protease. Now, the protease enzyme is a weird one because it is split into 2. The protease enzyme is split into pepsin and trypsin. This protease enzyme only, okay? Not the other ones. Amylase is just amylase. Lipase is just lipase. But protease is pepsin and trypsin. Why you need to know the 2 of them is protease, everybody knows, Kuri, enzymes end with A, so we know it's an enzyme. And we see pro, it means it is going to be an enzyme that breaks down protein. Right. So this enzyme that is going to break down protein will break it down. There's a part where I talked about all enzymes, don't worry, if you go down. So I'm just showing you a little bit, but you see where I took and even put a table. Here I'll say, what I want you to know is this pepsin, it will break down proteins into amino acids. Now, what you must know is this happens in the stomach. That is why I'm putting it here. Pepsin is the protease version that works in the stomach, which is an acidic place. The stomach is acidic because the stomach has HCl. It has hydrochloric acid. Now, because it has hydrochloric acid, it is acidic. So not all proteases can work in there. The only protease is pepsin. It is the protease that works in the stomach, and it breaks down proteins into amino acids. Then when you get to the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestines, you are going to meet trypsin, which is another protease, which will also take protein to amino acids. You must know. So the only difference between pepsin and trypsin is where they work. But we're going to find out what is the function of the pancreas in terms of producing these guys. So what happens in the stomach is that you are going to have hydrochloric acid, number one. You are going to have a protease enzyme called pepsin, number two, working in there. You're going to have churning, number three, and temporary food storage, number four. Small stuff, eh? This is easy. So these are the things that go on in the stomach. Yeah, I just have to know them. Yes. Now, we now go to the liver. Now, the liver is not where the food goes on to. No. The liver is going to do something very important before or whilst the food is on its way to the small intestines. So, the small intestines are not acidic, but the stomach is the acidic place. So, in the digestive system, the stomach is the one place that is acidic. But now food is going to be coming from the stomach, going to the small intestines. Something has to happen. What has to happen is the food should, that food and the chemicals in there, they should be neutralized. They should be the hydrochloric acid, which has mixed with our food, because hydrochloric acid is in the stomach. That hydrochloric acid should be neutralized. And the person that does this is bile, okay, which we talk about, which is going to be stored. And that bile is produced by the liver. So, this is the very first accessory organ that we are talking about. Remember, I said accessory organs, we should know what they produce. Why are they important? What do they produce? This accessory organ called the liver, I should end here, okay? Then we'll continue. What it does is it produces something called bile. Bile, so you should know that the liver produces bile. A greenish yellow fluid. What does it do? Okay, it does two things. Okay, bile does two things. I wrote about, I have it right. If you keep writing the notes, you see it just below where we talked about bile. Bile has two functions. Function number one is it neutralizes hydrochloric acid from the stomach. Okay, from the stomach, whilst food is on its way to the what? To the small intestines, right? We don't want it to be acidic, it will be a disaster. Then the second thing is it does emulsification of fats. So different things are being digested. Now, what is going to be digested now is fats. Fats are going to be broken down. Remember, digestion here, this is going to be mechanical digestion, by the way. This is not chemical. This is not an enzyme. So bile, we don't count it as an enzyme. Okay? It does not chemically break down anything. For our enzymes, they're going to be chemically breaking down, but not bile. Bile is produced by the liver. Thank you, liver. We saw how important you are in the excretory system as well. Here, the liver is going to not work on ammonia. No, it's not going to produce urea. Here, the liver is going to produce bile. Bile is this emulsification of fats. Just means these fats are going to be broken down. This is physical, it's not chemical. Their structure won't change. If it was chemical digestion, they would change chemically, but they won't. Bile is just going to break down fats physically. So we call that emulsifying fats. And this is going to be done by bile, which is going to be released from the liver. And it will be working on food as it is going to the small intestine. So we'll talk about the importance of the liver. If anybody asks you the importance of the liver in the digestive system, it is going to produce bile, which is not an enzyme. It produces bile, and bile is going to be responsible. It will be stored in the gallbladder, whatever. But bile, where is bile? Let me see. When we talk about enzymes here, bile. Here, bile is going to be it is going to break down here. It's going to neutralize hydrochloric acid, and it is going to emulsify fats. To emulsify is to physically break them down. Large fat droplets into smaller droplets. Nothing complicated there. So when you write these notes, you get to these points. You're going to write. The reason why you see bile being put somewhere here down here is because it's a summary of the enzymes that work in digestion. Okay, like I said, you'll find them in a table, these tables, but you should know protease, enzymes, and then you see where each of them will be working. So you see pepsin in the stomach, trypsin here in the duodenum, so small intestines. Wow. Anyway, sorry for that glitch. I'm sure you have seen. This is going to be it on the first part of digestion. I'll give you the notes so that you can write them. I'll put them on the side, and everybody has to, you can access them and start writing. I'll put for reproduction as well. So you can write everything on this, and we should do questions. So this is going to help us to move much faster in lessons. So it's going to be the same for chem. It's going to be the same for business studies. It's going to be the same for geo. It's going to be the same for everything. You write the notes at your own time during the night or whatever, and then we go through the things together in class. Are we together? Okay. Anyone with a question? Are we fine? Right. Hold on. As boring as this is, I just have to take attendance one more time. Just say present quickly, guys. Let's take 1 minute to do it. Anesu. Anesu. Let me stop.